Hello, my name's Clare Bailey, and I'm the retail expert working with Business Lincolnshire to deliver a series of playbooks. And these mini webinars are all part of the content that's provided within those. This is part of the theme supply chain and supplier management, and this short video is part two, focused on managing supplier relationships and negotiations. So let's look at supplier management. It's a tricky one because a lot of independent businesses feel that the suppliers are quite confrontational because they're generally bigger companies and they have quite stringent measures around payment and delivery and so on. But actually, if you manage your suppliers in a collaborative method, which gives them the sense that you're incredibly professional and so on, it does really help because they will begin to take you more seriously. So, for example, things like sharing your sales data historically of their products and then anonymized data of the general category performance for their category and sharing what you think your forecasts are going to be, how many products of theirs would you potentially want to take, which links us back to the range plan, and so on, is really valuable in terms of building that professionalism with their account management. If you can then also do something along the lines of what a big retailer would call a scorecard, which is about tracking performance, that's about keeping a monitor on how they're doing. So complete and on-time delivery, payment when they're expecting to be paid. Is it going to be an advance? Is it sale or return? How does that influence your business? And how does that make you feel with regard to them as a respectable and credible supplier is very important. And certainly being able to sit down in a supplier review meeting with them and talk to them about their delivery performance, if they've failed on deliveries, if there's been quality issues, if they've been late, and also discussing the fact that their potential payment terms are disadvantaging you and discussing preferential payment terms, lines of credit, and so on, which is what the bigger retailers get, then it's absolutely worth trying. I mean, all they can do is say no, and worse off than you were in the first place. And I think all of this leads to the point around building trust, about getting better terms and priority service, because they think of you as a serious stockist, not just a Me Too brand. Now, not all the time you'll be dealing with the supplier directly. In some cases, you might be dealing with an agent or a wholesaler. But it's still worth considering the fact that building a relationship with whoever it is you have to deal with is more beneficial to you than just having a transactional and potentially at times confrontational relationship. When we come to the points on things like negotiation, it's got to be on the total value of the relationship, not just on the price of the goods, but also on, well, I need you to be on time. I need you to be responsive. I want to have a week one order for week two delivery. I don't want to be waiting. I don't want to have large minimum order quantities. Those things also influence the value. So the price of a product could be quite low, but if the minimum order quantity is 1,000 units and that's 2 years cover, it's not even worth discussing it. And so under supplier management, you need to look at what are your key levers and regarding your suppliers, because they'll all be different. Is it about minimum order quantity? Is it about having little and often and a trickle feed of stock to deal with erratic demand, or perhaps you don't have the storage space? Is it around the payment terms? You don't want to be having to pay in advance and so on. Or is it about the delivery charges? And could that be preferential if you went for a pallet rounding or similar? So in my just one thing, which is always about the action section, and it really never is just one thing. I'm sorry about that. But I would urge you to share your sales data with suppliers, share their data in terms of their products and anonymize the other data, because when they understand your business performance and the trends and the seasonality and so on, they'll actually be able to help you better, and they'll prioritize you because they can plan for you better if they understand you. Using the scorecards to track performance makes you look a lot more professional, and talking with them regularly and having a structured conversation, maybe once a month or whatever, talking about improvements to the KPIs you're tracking on the performance, or how perhaps you could collaborate more closely, is really valuable as well. And again, it makes them feel more invested in the relationship with you. It's important to remember that a negotiation is not a battleground. It's about having a win-win outcome. It's a sensible business discussion so that both parties can feel that they've got something that works for them. And you can be as imaginative as possible in these conversations. You never know. You might come up with a crazy idea as far as you're concerned, and the supplier goes, "That's brilliant." So don't put anything off the table in a negotiation. Just say, "Well, could we do this? Could we do that?" And that's where we come on to terms that work for both sides. So, ideally, it's better cash flow for you, trickle feed of stock, agility. So responsiveness to peaks and troughs in demand for you, but also predictability for them. You might say, "I'll buy X amount over an entire year," but I can't honestly predict what from week to week that might look like. But as long as they know that they've got X amount over a whole year, it gives them that security of the relationship. And that's it. These are short little webinars so that you can link them back to the playbook content. If you didn't find this webinar via the playbook, then the playbooks across 5 topics are available on businesslincolnshire.com/programs/retail accelerator program. Of course, via YouTube, where you're obviously watching this now, you can access all of the 5-minute webinars. And you can, if you would like one-to-one support and advice, you can contact your local Growth Hub advisor via businesslincolnshire.com/contact us. Thank you for listening.